You're listening to Drummer Daily, the only daily podcast just for drummers. Hey, if you want to get better at playing with a click track, and who doesn't, go to boomclick.net/start today. Hello again. Thanks for joining me. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy I'm here, and I'm so happy that we're here together. And once again, I am recording this podcast from behind my drum set, just sitting here in the command center, maybe you could call it, just sitting at the drums, just enjoying the peaceful place that the drums are for me. So today I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about what I'm going to call a dirty secret of top studio drummers. Now, it's not really a dirty secret. That's more intriguing maybe than it is, but it is a secret. It's a quality and aspect that every, not only really, it's not just drummers. It's every studio musician that has a career. It's something that is common amongst all of them, with no exception. I'm not kidding. There is not a single professional studio musician who actually is consistently getting gigs or getting called to play on sessions that does not have this quality. And before I tell you what it is, I want to tell you what it is not, because it's not the thing that, at least when before I had a lot of experience in the studio, I had an assumption about what I needed to be and what I needed to do to be in the studio, and I ended up being quite wrong about that. So, what it is not. It is not, most of the guys are not virtuoso levels of technical skill level, or the technical skill. So what I mean by that is this. There is every professional drummer that I know, every professional guitar, bass, keyboard, whatever, even studio backup singers. There's professional singers who just sing backup. All of them are fantastic musicians. So don't get me wrong. There is a certain level of musicianship that is very high that you need to be at to be able to do kind of whatever's asked of you from a playing perspective. And so that's one thing. I will say that as a studio musician, and I've talked about this before, I think it's our job, and I believe this is not just true of being a studio, I think this is just as true of being a musician as a whole, in any situation, is that we should always be way technically more proficient at playing than whatever we're being asked to play. So basically, whenever a song or for playing in the worship band at church, the worship leader asks us to play a song, or we go in the studio and it's a producer or a musical director if you're touring live, whoever it is, whatever you're being asked to play, that should not be the peak of your skill level, whatever it is. And so there's another episode of the podcast that I've talked about this, I think, a little bit. So that's one thing. And so, but I just want to make clear that I'm not saying the studio musicians are not good players. Every studio musician that I know is fantastic. But I will say that they are not the best, with very few exceptions. I will say there's some lead guitar players that maybe they are the best at their instrument. But most guys, like, for example, what I'm trying to say is this. The guys you meet in the studio are not the guys who you're going to see playing, drum clinics necessarily, or bass clinics, or whatever it is. Then you're not going to see, fan videos of them playing live, capturing these amazing solos they played. You're going to, you're not going to catch on to that. You're not going to see that stuff. If they're not if there are players out there that are better than them, and I will tell you this, there are players that are better than most studio guys who would really like to be studio guys, but they're not successful. And it's because they don't have this other quality. And what's the other quality? The other quality is, drum roll please. Oh, I'm at the drums. Let me see if I can do this. I learned earlier that this mic peaks sometimes if I play the drums too loud while I'm wearing it. So made sure not to do that. Anyway, the trait that they have is this. They are, every single studio musician that is successful and gets called back, they are a great hang. They are fun to hang around with. And that means they're not annoying. They have a good-natured, good attitude. They don't get frustrated. They're not argumentative. They go with the flow, and they know how to socially adapt well to a lot of different people all the time. Every single studio musician that I have met, I have thought, you know what? They were a cool person to hang around with. And I wouldn't be like, when you have to go hang out with somebody that's new that you don't really know that well and you're one-on-one and you're kind of worried about it or nervous about it maybe, or you just don't know if it's going to be awkward, if you're going to be able to have anything to talk about. Well, with every single studio musician, after I've met them, I think, man, this is a person that I would never be nervous about hanging around or feel like I might end up feeling awkward around if we were to hang out again. They know how to adapt and make anyone feel comfortable, which is actually a big job of a studio or even a live musician, is to make the artist especially, but make everyone around them feel comfortable. Definitely as drummers, that's our job. We want to make the other musicians feel comfortable and enjoy playing and make them feel confident in what they're playing. So I don't know if there's a way to practice being a good hang other than just trying to get out there and hang out with other musicians, other people, and be self-aware enough to know that if you were kind of an outgoing person, maybe be aware enough that to make sure that you're not annoying and overdoing it. And that I think that's in certain situations that's my problem. And then in other situations, maybe if you're not quite so outgoing, you're a little more reserved, maybe make sure that you're not being so reserved that people think that you're not interested or that you're arrogant, or a lot of people project other things onto quiet people because they don't have anything else to do. It's a human nature flaw, but it's real. So anyway, I just want to encourage you, start looking at, and I definitely don't mean to change who you are and not be yourself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just try to do your best to get along with people and make people feel comfortable and welcome when you're hanging around them. I think that's the best way to put it. And so that's definitely my goal anytime I'm in the studio. And definitely as a drummer, there can be times when like someone asks you to do something, especially if they're not a drummer, if it's a producer and they don't play drums and they're like, oh, can you do this thing or that thing? It can feel really frustrating, but it's our job to say, yeah, let me give it a try. And you try and you have a good attitude about it. And the great thing about it is that if you have a good attitude, having a good attitude glosses over a lot of things. Having a great attitude, especially early on for me, was what kept getting me called back to do more sessions, more and more sessions. It was, my playing was fine. It wasn't anything special, but it was okay. But people liked hanging around me enough that they're like, hey, if he's around, he's not gonna, kill the vibe or whatever. So anyway, just think about that today. I hope you're doing well, and we will talk again real soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye.